Hmm. It's literally the only way I can show it, but yeah, I guess I'm going live. Um, yeah, okay. Crap. Here we go. That's the way I like it. Now, all right. Now I'm not the star of the show. Matter of fact, it's my art right down over here. Huh. I don't know how to particularly do something like this since it's a bit awkward. Maybe I should. Let's just move this fan away. You have a fan. What a brilliant way to start a stream like this. But, yeah, just this setup. Yeah, that's the way I like it. That's the way I like it. Yeah, just kind of fixing a few things up so that I can, just figure out how to operate something like this. Today, I'm going to be doing a work in progress of a Carnotaurus, which is possibly one of my favorite Argentine, the best toys of it that I've ever seen. Yeah, so I think that'll do it if I want to show myself doing this kind of stuff. Yeah, just gonna as an article by Jose Bonaparte on Carnotaurus. So you can see right here, it's a Carnotaurus right up there. Pretty awesome, by the way. Nice little reconstruction. And then there's a bunch of photos of the material, including uh, some little snippets from Jose Bonaparte and colleagues' paper in 1990 describing stuff. However, there's a little book that I have that is pretty helpful in showing what else I know of Carnotaurus. And normally, this stuff doesn't get published. Here, this is a block from the tail. You can see right here, this is where the chevrons would have been. Right down there, those are the chevrons. All right, it appeared sort of big for uh, talking when we're thinking about Carnotaurus tail muscle stuff. So those are going to be two defined. Probably should narrow this down a bit. Doing that. And stupid unstable connection. Would be nice if somebody popped in or something like that. It's just really let me too much for it. Guess you can't really make too much out of it. But yeah, I mean, if you want to give me a holler or anything, just type in the live chat, whatever. I always like to hear what y'all have to say and whatever. That would really be appreciated. But yeah, currently drawing these sort of what'd you call them? The sort of bumps that you'd see on something like Ceratosaurus here in Carnotaurus, because That's pretty interesting. Welcome, Karen boy. Hope you're enjoying this. And let's see. So I guess I should probably draw it with a neck like such. Sometimes you'll probably see a cast of Carnotaurus on display somewhere in some museums on display. It's probably one of the only other museums. For the longest time, so it was probably one of the only other museums that actually had it. Was, of course, the one that held its original remains, which is the Museo Argentino de Ciencias Naturales, Bernardino Rivadavia, in Buenos Aires. It's still on display today, and I think it's been mounted ever since like around. The original fossils were discovered in 1984 in a National Geographic funded expedition to explore Patagonia for more remains of dinosaurs and stuff like that. And as a result, you got things like Amargasaurus. You got some pretty interesting discoveries out of this. So yeah, got this sort of thing going on. Now, what's interesting about Carnotaurus is the fact that we actually have skin impressions from it, which isn't normally, you don't get such things when it comes to theropod dinosaurs. Normally, like, I think Carnotaurus, you have like this big block of skin impressions around its tail region, which is pretty cool, in my opinion. It also should be mentioned that we only have one specimen of Carnotaurus, and that partial skeleton, lacking the lower legs, and what we don't have is this whole thing right here, and just like that. That's it. So yeah, that's pretty much all we have of Carnotaurus. Just Estancia Pocho del Sastre, I think. I could be wrong in that one, but it was found in the Telsen department of Chubut, which is a little farther south than Rio Negro and Neuquén, and just above Santa Cruz in Argentina. There's very few photos of this thing being uncovered, but there is one, I don't know where it originated from, where it shows the head being uncovered with one of the guys digging around it, putting a baseball cap on top of it. And I remember it was making the rounds late last year because some people were curious as to whether that was where we had skin impressions on the head or whatever. Of course, I wasn't willing to go that far, but I mean, who knows really? Actually, here's some photos, I think, of Carnotaurus being excavated right here. This is the leg bones and the pelvis being discovered. Can't tell what these are, but it's definitely something. But yeah, it's a pretty decently described dinosaur there. Only describing the skull. So most reconstructions of Carnotaurus for some time were of the skull. It including Carnotaurus depicted, but not really much in the way of like anything behind its head. It was just the head that was depicted. So it's not really too much of an interesting reconstruction, if I'm going to be honest. I mean, in its own right, like how well detailed it is, I mean, yeah, I'll give it that. But honestly, just I think later reconstructions would do it justice. This kind of happens sometimes, but yeah, I'm gonna slowly fix this up. Just trying to figure out the correct orientation of that. Yeah, I think that does it. Taurus is just something you have to kind of figure out. There we go. So just gonna draw it with these sort of big scales on the neck. Now note, these are not osteoderms. Those are something totally different. We're dealing with scales right here, large feature scales. Not really sure of anything to liken them to, but they're definitely not osteoderms, from what I can tell. Though they are pretty big, I will warrant them that. So yeah, let's see. Let's kind of do this. Now, one thing that you should know when drawing dinosaur tails, the only part that's really going to be like skinny is right here at the base of the tail, like underneath it, right here, this little area where the cloaca else is just a cylinder. So yeah. So let's try to draw Carnotaurus's tail like this. Now, one thing you should note of Carnotaurus is that its tail muscles were ridiculously girthy. And I mean this in the most serious sense. Um, they were, if you looked at the tail vertebrae, this, so normally when I look at tail vertebrae, you have the centrum, and then you have that top part that anchors the muscles right there. And then you have these two little prongs that stick out from the side. Now, normally they're at like this angle, but in Carnotaurus, they're kind of like, and so they're almost vertical. And so what they did was they housed these really robust muscles, which were attached to the cauda muscles. Now, if you break that down, that would mean if you were to like go underneath the dinosaur mount, you'd notice that there is like a muscles would be attached, that would go all the way back to the tail. And so from there, you can get something pretty much showing how ridiculous Carnotaurus was, in terms of speed. So yeah, let's try to do that. Feature scales over with. Now, I'm just trying to figure out how to do something like this. Just to okay, so now we're gonna have to rub that around just to kind of give it the impression of having shady areas on its body. But yeah, it's there. So because Carnotaurus is still relatively roundish. There's a photo of Jose Bonaparte standing in front of the biz. So yeah, it's right there. See that? Now, it's a pretty reasonably mounted sort of skeleton. There's also satellite facilities, but here's hoping that someday they'll haul it out for some sort of thing. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, let's erase this little thingy right here. We don't need that. Now, erasing that. Yeah, Carnotaurus is just ridiculous. And the more ridiculous thing is how to reconstruct its arms, because sweet, sweet baby Jeebus, this is not something that is easy to do. Let's see, I know. I'm in doubt about reconstructing some theropods. Just go over to the theropod database. You'll get a nice little peek into any of the info you need on something like in front of you are really at your fingertips. Let's see. So from what I can tell, those bumps on the tail are pretty large. So I guess I'll reconstruct them as such. These are some pretty big feature scales on the tail. But we're gonna have to make sure to show how girthy the tail is, because it's not easy trying to reconstruct something like this when you're only working with images of a skeleton that, well, yeah, pretty much that. Just don't know what that was, but it was a something that slid. Guess that's just me being paranoid. Well, it is interesting. Huh. Oh wait, never mind. I don't think those would be those weird processes. I think that was actually just the underside of the tail. In which case, I've been drawing it wrong this entire time. Never mind. That's not the whole damn tail. What I'm actually drawing is don't actually do that then. Don't actually draw the scales that big. Little friend, like the little bits and bone. I guess that was just me being silly. And so, yeah, okay, so these are reasonably small. So let's see, just make them this big and this big and this big and this big. It takes some time to do, so I'm just going to have to do it like this. Let's see. It's not very easy to do something like this, but this. But I mean, I can try. Actually, I think something that would do me a little more justice is if I push this back over a little. Can't really do much of a thing about it. Well, actually, I kind of can. But doing that, look at that. Look at that. Maybe doing a little something right here. See, now it's a little clearer and darker. Now you can see my computer in the back. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, so a little something I learned. Just kind of got. Okay, we're gonna have to erase a teensy portion of that. Too shabby. Just have to do this for my convenience. Someday, if I get the tech, it'll look a lot more smooth than this. There's a little right there. I'm gonna take a drink for a moment because, I gotta take breaks sometimes. There we go. Excuse me. Let's see. Caudal musculature. The hand structure of Carnotaurus. How utterly convenient that is. Neat little paper describing the hand, basically the anatomy of Carnotaurus's ridiculously tiny hands. By the way, Carnotaurus had pretty much barely any bits and pieces of hand bones with vestiges of little fingers, or not even just fingers actually. Yeah, it's being generous enough. Watched Clone High today. It's a very entertaining show, I suppose. Too bad there isn't a. Dang. So, Carnotaurus's hands are freaking ridiculous. So, okay, it seems like I'm gonna have to make a teensy tiny little edit. So apparently, we only have one claw preserved on what I'm looking at. So, manual ungule 1, don't even know. Manual ungule 2, slightest clue. Manual ungule 3. There's a little spiky wanky little right there. Gonna draw a little claw right there. God, it looks so strange that would be. But yeah, in all honesty though, Carnotaurus's hands weren't really anything remarkable. It was just nubbins like on its hands. They weren't used probably for anything. Maybe for display though. Maybe just like wobble those little things around. No clue on how flexible they would have been though. Yeah, pretty. Actually, I should probably fix this up by doing that. And then doing that. I'm sure no one says about that. Who cares? Don't want to take up too much of my time just drawing this while awake. But yeah, just gonna do a smidge little. touch up. Probably not going to show Carnotaurus interacting with anything much because really I can't necessarily find but you, but honestly, just a lot of the stuff that I've heard from there just doesn't really seem to fit the bill. So, yeah, that's what I think about it. Let's see, let's just do those little bumpies right there. Like a dinosaur described during its time. I'm just gonna do that. Oh yeah, that's right. Since we're doing Carnotaurus, we also kind of want to work you do with the I think maybe a couple minutes more and then I'll just sign off because clearly not successful. There. Well, yeah, I think tomorrow. Who knows?